My very first show was at the Ohio State Fair in front of like 20,000 people. And dude, I was scared out of my mind. Ricky Nelson made millions as America's cute favorite kid, but he couldn't even buy a movie ticket on his own. His dad controlled every single dollar. When Ricky asked for a little pocket money, his dad told him to go pick up soda bottles and cash them in for coins. I was 22. Behind that perfect happy family picture was some really dark stuff. Some contracts they just found show how his own mom and dad locked him into a deal that basically stole his whole childhood and all his money. But wait, that's not even the worst part. New papers just came out about what was really going on in his last few years before that plane crash. When you hear it, it's going to wreck everything you thought you knew about America's most famous TV family. Chapter 46. Ricky was born into a life somebody else already planned out for him. On May 8, 1940, Eric Hilliard Nelson was born in Teaneck, New Jersey. But before he could even crawl, people were already saying his name on the radio and putting it on studio papers. His dad, Ozzie Nelson, had been a big band leader swinging his baton and dreaming big. His mom, Harriet Hilliard, had sung in vaudeville and smiled in old movies way before Ricky could stand up. Their fame wasn't the kind that disappears fast. It came into American living rooms every single week. And by October 1944, the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet made their family the very first sitcom stars in the country. The house Ricky grew up in didn't have bedtime stories or kids falling and hurting their knees. It was full of rehearsals, light checks, and scripts with pencil marks. Even before he started preschool, Harriet was teaching him how to breathe right between singing lines. She never sent him to real school until she was sure he could sing a note without his voice cracking. Ricky never asked to be a star. He was raised like a shiny product getting ready to put in a store window, shaped by his mom's schedule and his dad's big dreams. By age 4, his name was already on call sheets. At 8, he walked into the recording booth to play himself on the family's radio show instead of the kid actor they had before. Nobody asked if he was ready. That question wasn't in the plan. He was a sick little boy, super skinny, quiet, coughing all night, with skin that didn't look good under bright lights. Asthma kept him in bed way more than playing outside ever did. He wasn't loud But when Ricky and his brother David finally played themselves on the radio, listeners didn't hear a sick kid. They heard funny jokes, perfect timing, a little boy sounding like a natural, even though backstage Ricky was just doing exactly what he was told. In a few months, the show had 20 million people listening every week. Ricky was 9 and earning $200 per episode. That's like $4,500 today, but he never saw a penny of it. Ozzie kept all the money, every bit. Ricky got a tiny allowance that barely bought candy. While other kids swapped baseball cards, Ricky's dad was using his son's fame to buy furniture, houses, vacations, and investments. By the time he was 16, Ricky had $500,000 in his name, over $5.7 million in today's money. But he couldn't touch it. At 18, he had to pay 93% of his money in taxes. One time, just to take a girl to the movies, he had to collect empty soda bottles for the coins. In 1952, the family moved to Hollywood, and the radio show turned into a TV show. The living room you saw on TV wasn't totally fake. It looked just like their real one. But for Ricky, going to TV meant way more people staring at him. He wasn't just a voice anymore. He was a face, a body, a famous person, and he hated it. He couldn't make real fried. And Diaz couldn't walk by himself, couldn't be late to the set without his dad pulling him aside for a talk. No sleepovers, no football games, no school dances unless his parents said okay. Ozzie would say, "The family is your whole world," and that was final. Ricky started hiding inside himself. The smiling perfect boy on TV was almost never the same kid backstage. He fought bad anxiety, sometimes leaving the set just to breathe. He'd freak out before commercials, get sick before scenes, magazine covers, teen heartthrob headlines. Everything felt like a mask he couldn't pull off. Friends later said he didn't even know how to be himself unless someone told him who to be. By 1955, the show won Emmys, and Ricky's picture was on bedroom walls all over America. The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet ran 14 seasons, a record back then, with 435 episodes. It showed Ricky growing from 8 years old to his 20s. It showed his first dates, first crushes, and starting to love music. It all felt real because they said it was real. But off camera, it was different. Ozzie didn't just direct the show, he directed Ricky's whole life. School, dating, money, everything went through a script someone else wrote. And Ricky had to do it perfectly. When his asthma got bad, crew hid breathing machines just outside the camera shot. When he was wiped out after 12-hour days, Harriet told him the family's perfect image came first. A producer from Red Skelton once called him a weird little kid, but behind that weirdness was just pure tiredness. Harriet later admitted Ricky's happy face was often fake. His sickness wasn't a break, it was a problem to work around. He smiled for the cameras and fell apart when they turned off. And still, the cash kept coming. In 1957 and 1958, Ricky made $5,000 a week. That's more than $50,000 a week now. But none of it made him free. Ozzie used it to pay for their fancy Hollywood Hills house, Cadillacs, country club stuff. Ricky got a $50 allowance. He once said the only way to buy something for himself was to ask permission or sneak coins. Even in high school. Hool, Ricky acted out, not with drugs, just silly pranks and skipping class. He failed English on purpose just to see what would happen. He ditched school to play records loud and sneak to live shows. He didn't want trouble. He wanted to feel free. In music, he finally found a little of that. It was the one thing his parents couldn't totally control. When he started recording his own songs, it was partly curiosity and partly because he needed it so bad. He wanted a voice that wasn't part of some character. When Ricky Nelson was only 10, asthma hit him really hard. Not the quick kind. This one stayed for weeks while other kids played outside. But Ricky wasn't just resting. He was learning scripts by heart. His dad Ozzie called it getting ready for greatness. Ricky missed school, missed birthday parties, missed normal life. But on paper he was winning. The show kept getting bigger, and Ricky's part got bigger too. Being famous and being sick all mixed together. Being sick didn't stop work. It actually became part of the job. The pressure never stopped. Over time, he forgot that resting was for getting better. It was just another thing he had to do for work. What started as asthma grew into something bigger. It made him feel like he wasn't a regular kid. He was something to make money from. When he was 12, Ricky wanted a bike. Nothing crazy, just to feel the wind like other boys. Ozzie and Harriet said no. Not because of money or danger, because it didn't fit his perfect image. They didn't want fans or photographers catching Ricky looking too normal. So while his friends rode bikes around town, Ricky walked, to school, to the set. Not having that bike hurt him more than they thought. It wasn't about the bike. It was about being free. Every step he walked reminded him what he couldn't have. That feeling stuck deep inside. His life wasn't really his. His smile, his clothes, and his daily schedule all belonged to somebody else. At 14, kids at school started teasing him, calling him TV boy. At first it was jokes, but it cut Ricky deep. He wasn't one of them. He lived in two worlds, studio lights and fake laughs, or locker rooms and cafeteria jokes, and he didn't fit in either. Harriet tried to fix it. She set up family moments on set, tried to make the fake family feel real, but it was still staged, and Ricky knew it. The harder they tried, the more it showed him what he was missing. The teasing kept going, so Ricky pulled away more. He felt safer pretending on camera than trying to make real friends off it. He wasn't growing up like a normal kid. He was being built like a product. By 16, Ricky Nelson had earned over $500,000. In today's money, that's around $362 million, but he didn't feel rich at all. His parents gave him only $50 a week. The rest was locked up. They said it was to keep him from getting spoiled. But Ricky didn't feel safe. He felt trapped. One night when he wanted to take a girl to the movies, he had no cash, so he collected empty soda bottles, turned them in for coins, and bought the tickets like that. He said later it made him feel worthless. On TV, he was a big star. In real life, he was just a kid counting nickels. The difference between who he really was and what people thought kept getting bigger. Even school dances were controlled. Ricky couldn't go to normal parties or just hang out. Ozzie wanted everything watched, clean, safe, planned. So Ricky stood in rooms full of strangers his parents picked, watched the whole time, told what to say and what not to say. There was no danger, but there was no freedom either. He couldn't mess up awkward first dates, couldn't tell stupid jokes to friends, couldn't just be a regular teen. He once said he felt like a star but not a real person. Those years didn't give him memories, they gave him advertising. Then in early 1957, everything changed. Ricky saw Elvis Presley on The Ed Sullivan Show, and something clicked inside him. He wasn't too hinking about the family brand anymore. He just wanted to sing for real. He begged Ozzie to help, and on March 26, 1957, in a Hollywood studio, Ricky recorded I'm Walkin' and A Teenager's Romance. Both came out April 24th. But before they were even in stores, Ricky sang them live on the family TV show. People watched the episode and ran to buy the records. The songs blew up. A Teenager's Romance hit number 2. I'm Walkin' got to number 17. Suddenly, Ricky wasn't just the quiet TV kid. He was a real teen idol. Verve Records didn't last long. They fought with Ozzie about money and control. So by summer 1957, Ricky signed with Imperial Records. That deal changed everything. A teenager getting creative control was super rare, but Ricky got to pick songs, okay the album covers, choose the musicians. The first single, Bebop Baby, came out October 7th. It sold 750,000 copies before it even hit shelves. Later, it passed 1 million. It reached number 3 on Billboard and number 5 on R&B. It was clean and smooth, different from the crazy energy of Jerry Lee Lewis or Little Richard. Ricky didn't scream or shake, but he sold big. Imperial put Have I Told You Lately That I Love You on the B-side, mixing rock and sweet stuff. It worked. Billboard ranked Bebop Baby number 42 for the whole year. His first album, just called Ricky, came out soon after. It had covers like Blueberry Hill and his own hits. The album went to number 1 and stayed in the top 10 for months. Ricky wasn't just a TV son anymore. He was the new face of teen rock. Mixing TV and music was pure genius. Ozzie kept going. He put the songs right into the show. One episode faked a recording of Stood Up right before the real single dropped. That trick made everyone want it more. When Stood Up came out December 30th, 1957, it hit number 2 on Billboard. It also charted on R&B and country. Nobody had really done that before. Ricky's music reached everywhere. In summer 1958, something huge happened. Billboard started the Hot 100 chart. And super fast, one song shot, and Ricky's Poor Little Fool shot from 18 to number 1 by August 4th. It stayed there 2 weeks, topping both the Hot 100 and the pop sales chart. No one had done that yet. By the end of the year, he sold over 2 million records. Theaters showing his family's TV show had to call police to control screaming crowds. Thousands of fan letters came to the studio every week. Some girls wrote every single day. He wasn't just a singer, he was America's first real teen idol. A few weeks later, August 29, 1958, Ricky dropped a slow one. Lonesome Town sounded soft and sad. Not the wild rock people expected from a heartthrob, but it hit hard. It reached number 7 on the Hot 100 and even got on the R&B chart, which was rare for white singers then. It had the Jordanaires singing backup, the same guys who sang with Elvis. People compared it to Love Me Tender, but this one felt different. Heartbroken teens said it made them feel understood. Letters poured in again. The song kept showing up on The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, where Ricky played himself. Years later, it came back in Pulp Fiction and grabbed a whole new crowd. Then 1959 was insane. Ricky put out 6 singles, and everyone hit the top 40. Believe What You Say got to number 4. Never Be Anyone Else But You hit 6. It's Late reached 9. His songs were on the charts 55 weeks that year. Elvis was in the Army, so Ricky owned the spotlight. Concerts paid him $5,000 a night. His label didn't want it to slow down. They rushed new records almost every month. Fan clubs blew up, over 9,000 official ones around the world, all for a guy not even 20 yet. His music jumped from fast rock to slow, sweet songs. Not just kids bought them, parents did too. He looked clean and safe. He was literally everywhere. Then something crazy happened. June 1959, Ricky played New York. Over 10,000 girls showed up. Some waited hours. When he finished, the crowd rushed the stage, screaming, pushing. Police had to grab him and shove him into a car. Girls banged on windows, climbed the car, chased it down the street. Newspapers called it a riot the next day. Other cities got scared. Rock concerts started hiring tons of security. Ricky's label quietly cut his live shows. Teen screaming became a real public safety thing for the first time. That same year, his album Ricky Sings Again hit number 6. It sold over 1 million copies before 1959 ended. Sweeter Than You reached number 9. What made the album special was the vibe. Ricky never yelled, never broke stuff. He wore nice shirts, smiled sweet, sang on national TV with his parents watching. Parents trusted him. Girls loved him. Record companies started copying the formula, trying to make the next safe teen star. But nobody had Ricky's quiet cool. By 1961, he dropped Travelin' Man. It went to number 1 May 29th and stayed 5 weeks. Over 6 million copies sold super fast. It started as a demo someone threw in the trash. The B-side Hello Mary Lou hit number 9 in the US and number 2 in the UK. The album Rick is 21 went gold. People couldn't get enough. Even sports stadiums played Travelin' Man at games. It wasn't just a hit. It was huge worldwide. Both sides charted at once in tons of countries. Super rare. The year before he toured Europe, 20 cities, 50 shows, 100,000 fans. Venues in Germany, UK, France were packed. Some nights he played twice. Fans broke past guards. Ricky, still a teen, started looking worn out, pale, tired. The schedule was brutal. His dad, Ozzie, booked it all to keep the fame going. The plan was to squeeze every drop before it ended, but you could already see the cost on Ricky's face. In 1962, it got worse. He put out 10 singles in 1 year. That's crazy even for today's stars. He collapsed on stage in Hawaii during a promo tour right in front of fans. Doctors said slow down. The spotlight was still on him, but it wasn't shining as bright. In 1963, Decca Records signed him to a huge 20-year, $1 million deal. Everyone thought it was smart. Then the Beatles showed up. Music changed, style changed, fans changed. Suddenly, Ricky's clean look felt old. His 1964 single For You still hit number 6, but the magic was gone. Decca tried pushing him into folk rock, then country rock. Nothing brought back the fire. The big contracts started feeling like handcuffs. Ricky wanted to grow, but the world had moved on. He kept going. In 1961, String Along got to 23. In 1964, his live album Rick Nelson in Concert showed a brand new sound. His band got serious musicians. One guy, James Burton, became a legend. They added harmonies, country rock feels. It wasn't teen pop anymore. It was something fresh that would shape the future. Randy Meisner, who later started the Eagles, played in Ricky's Stone Canyon Band in the early 70s. Jackson Browne and Linda Ronstadt pulled from the same style. It got called the California Sound, and Ricky helped create it. At just 12 years old, Ricky stepped into movies with Here Come the Nelsons in 1952. It wasn't just a random film, it was the whole family. Shot at General Service Studios, it felt like an extra episode of their show and showed America the real Nelson home. Simple story, small budget, all about normal suburban life after the war. Families loved it, and it was a hit. 1951. Ricky didn't need a big acting part to win people. Just being the cute little Nelson kid was enough. By 1958, he did something different. On General Electric Theater, he played a messed-up teen in an episode called The Wish Book. The show was serious, and Ricky showed real feelings. Raw, deep, not just the guitar kid. But the real big one came in 1959. At only 18, he got the part of Colorado Ryan in Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo, acting with legends John Wayne and Dean Martin. Everyone wondered if a teen idol could handle a serious Western. Hawks believed in him, and he nailed it. Ricky's honest, soft performance shocked people. The movie made $4.5 million, and critics finally took him seriously as an actor. He got a Golden Globe nomination in 1960 for Most Promising New Guy. Ricky Nelson wasn't just a singer anymore, he was becoming a real actor. Next year, he starred with Jack Lemmon in The Wackiest Ship in the Army, playing Ensign Tommy Reed. It was a funny World War II comedy based on a real ship, shot in Hawaii, came out December 1960, made over $3 million and gave Ricky another win. His charm worked great on screen, even if some critics said acting wasn't as strong as his music yet. He didn't care. For young fans, he was the reason to watch. Then in 1965, Love and Kisses, directed by his dad Ozzie, starring with his real wife Chris. It tried mixing music and story. Ricky even sang new songs on Shindig to promote it, but the movie didn't do much. It was cute, but forgot fast. Still, Hollywood decided Ricky was too nice for dark roles. Studios wanted him clean, innocent, safe. He only got 5 movie roles that weren't music things. Every time he tried for tougher parts, they said no. He wasn't rough enough, wasn't scary enough. No matter how real he acted, they only saw the teen idol and nothing else. As the 60s brought anti-heroes and gritty stories, Ricky stayed on the side. 22-16. He never got the big serious chance he wanted. By the 70s, movie offers dried up. He did TV movies like 3 on a Date in 1978, playing a chaperone in Hawaii. Then High School USA in 1983 as Principal Pete Kinney. The charm was still there, but it wasn't a comeback. Chapter 22-40. His music was already anging. In 1969, Ricky started the Stone Canyon Band. It wasn't just a backup group, it was a whole new direction. With Randy Meisner, Tom Brumley, Alan Kemp, and Patrick Shanahan, he jumped into country rock before it was cool. Their live album, In Concert at the Troubadour 1969, was magic. 2303. Their cover of Bob Dylan's She Belongs to Me hit number 33, his biggest song in years. This wasn't old hits, it was a fresh start. He wasn't living off past fame. He was making a new road that helped bands like the Eagles and Poco later. He was ahead of everyone. But fame is tricky. Chapter 23. 24. October 15, 1971, Madison Square Garden, Oldies Show. Ricky walked out in bell-bottoms, long hair, purple velvet shirt, new sound. He opened with a country version of the Stones' Honky Tonk Women. The crowd booed loud. They wanted the old 50s hits, Poor Little Fool Ricky, 23:45. He was shocked, played one more song, then walked off. That night hurt him bad. But out of it came Garden Party in 1972. It hit number 6 and said the lesson he learned. You can't make everyone happy, so you gotta make yourself happy. Even though the song did well, the business had moved on. 2407. His 1970 album Rick Sings Nelson disappeared when Decca closed. In 1981, Playing to Win came out on Capitol. But disco was huge and nobody cared about his new sound. 2 albums drowned, because labels fell apart and timing sucked. Ricky was trying to stay fresh, but radio ignored him. TV became the backup plan. 2429. He showed up on shows like McLeod in 1972 singing Garden Party, then The Love Boat in 1978. Little guest spots kept his face out there, but the music world had shut the door. After 1972, no single hit the top 40. His career turned into oldies tours and memories. Offstage, his life was messy too. 2451. He married Kristen Harmon April 20th, 1963 after she got pregnant. They had 4 kids, Tracy, Gunnar, Matt, Hugh and Sam. But the marriage was rough. By 1975, constant touring and Chris spending money got out of control. They accused each other of drugs, fought in court. After almost 20 years, they divorced in 1982. 2515. Ricky lost custody, paid over $1 million in lawyer fees, and had to pay $4,000 a month support. The perfect American family was totally broken. Then another hit. February 1981, a woman named Georgianne Crew had a baby boy, Eric Jude Crew, and said Ricky was the dad. They met at a Playboy resort. Blood test proved it, but Ricky only sent $400 a month and said that's it. 2543. After he died, Georgianne fought to get Eric part of the will, but Ricky left everything to the 4 kids with Chris. Eric got nothing. Court said the will wins. He was Ricky's son by blood, but not in the legacy. In his last years, Ricky was with Helen Blair. They met in 1980, 2603. She was a model and exotic animal trainer and became his girlfriend on tour and at home. She brought some calm to the storm. They never got married, but were always together. His family didn't like her. He thought about marrying her, but never did. December 31st, 1985, Ricky and Helen got on a plane in Texas, 2623. The heater was already acting up, but nobody stopped the flight. Fire started in the air. Ricky, Helen, and 5 band members died in the crash. The 2 pilots parachuted out. The world lost Ricky Nelson at only 45. What came next hurt even more. Ricky's mom, Harriet, wouldn't let Helen be buried next to him, to 43. Helen wasn't even mentioned at the funeral. Helen's family sued for $2 million wrongful death, but settled for a small amount and lost the case. Then the money fights. From 2011 to 2020, lawsuits found $12.7 million in hidden royalties stuck in old Capitol and Sony contracts. Nobody even knew it was there. 2706. While Ricky had money struggles and legal mess for years, all that sheen, Ash was just sitting hidden,